Okay, two hakdamis that we saw. We saw the concept of takonis hashuk. If a person goes ahead and steals something and sells it, and then the person that it was stolen from goes to the one that bought it, the one who bought it gives it back to him. However, he's entitled to reimbursement. Why isn't he reimbursing him? After all, it's his object and it was stolen. The answer is, if a person would be suspicious that anytime he buys something, he'd have to worry about it be taken away without compensation, then it would end all karmas for all intents and purposes. So for takonas hashuk, the shuk being the place where business was facilitated, they made a takana that if something's taken away from you, that the person who takes it away would have to, even though it's his, would have to recompensate you, and that's compensate you. That would be the takonas hashuk. In addition, we saw Rav Chistis did. Rav Chistis said that if someone's not miyayish and someone buys something from somebody, then he could take it back from wherever he wants to. He could take it back from the second guy or the first guy. The first guy is the ganif, and the lekeach he could take it back from because he's considered a ganif. Because since it was from the yush, it came to his hands be'isr because it was before yush, and therefore ratzim mizeh goiva, ratzim mizeh goiva. So with that in mind, we'll begin the sugya. I have a lot of charts, and again, I'm sitting here the whole morning trying to figure this out, and whatever I figured out, I'm just not happy with. So we're on Kuf Tasvav Amid Aleph, and we're at the beginning, 3 lines down. Itmar. Gonav umachar. If you go ahead, you steal something, Umachi sells it. So now there's 2 people. There's the Ganef, Ruvain the Ganef, and Shimon the Lekeach. Piachkach Hukah Haganef. And afterwards, it's recognizable that who was the Ganef, that the Ruvain was the one who stole it. And now, who is the Nigzal go to? Does he go to the Lekeach, that's Shimon, or does he go to Ruvain? So Rav Mishmei the Reb Chia Amar, Rav the name Reb Chia says, Dinim Rishon. The din is with Ruvain. The din is with Ruvain. Says Rashi, guys. Dinim Ruvain, top line. Dina shel balabayis. B'tviyasai is alaganif. The nigzal, who's his din with, is on the balabayis, not the lekeach. Vein lekeach bal dinoi, and the lekeach, and Shimon's not the one he should be coming to. Then bolig voisa himenu, and therefore, if he comes to collect from Shimon, yitin damim, he'd have to go ahead and give money. Okay, even though they have to give money. Now, l'chayr v'afagav shehuga ganiv lo yamrina and yachzer lekeach hakelim bechinam v'yifrim and ganiv. Even though we say where you recognize the ganif, we don't say when you recognize the ganif, we don't say takonas hashuk. When you recognize the ganif, you don't say takonas hashuk. Nonetheless, over here, Rav would say that the din is with the ganif. The din is with the ganif and not this person over here. And so therefore, he can't get it back from the lekeach. He can't get it back from Shimon. He'd have to go to Ruvain. That's Rav's din. That's Rav's din in Reb Chia. And Rabbi Yochanan Mishmei the Rabbi Yana Yama. However, Rabbi Yochanan in the name of Rabbi Yana says, Hadin im Hasheni. The din is with the Lekeach, with Shimon. So the person in the Nigzal would not go to Ruvain. He would go to the Sheni. Says Rashi, Hadin im Hasheni. Dina shel bala bayis im Lekeachu. The din of the Lekeach, the Nignav, is with Shimon. The Yotzi imenu kelav bechinam, and he goes ahead and he takes it. He doesn't pay anything. He doesn't pay anything. Okay, so the case is what where you stole something, you sold it, you recognize the ganif. So who does the nigzal go to? Says Rav, he goes to the ganif. Says Rabbi Yochanan, he goes to the lekeach. He goes to the one who bought it. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Yosef. Now v'loi pligi, and they're not arguing in kan lifnei yush. Hadin imasheni. If it's lifnei yush, he never gave up hope. So therefore, you didn't have shina rishus. You didn't have you. You had shina rishus. You didn't have yush. You had shina rishus. You didn't have yush. Then the din is what? The din is with the sheni. The din is with the sheni. And kan la'acha yush. And after yush, so you had yush and shina rishus. The din is what? With the rishon. So in other words, both Rav and Rabbi Yochanan would agree, and they're both speaking about different cases. When did Rabbi Yochanan say the din is with a sheni? That's lifnei yush. When did Rav say the din is rishon? That's la'acha yush. That's the way Rabbi Yosef and Pshat over here. And V'Shavayu is laid Rav Chisda, and they both agree what Rav Chisda's din. They both agree Rav Chisda that if Gozel lifnei yush, Ratzim Yizeh Goyva, Ratzim Yizeh Goyva. That would be the din. Okay, so guys, we're set up. Okay, Rav says did no machlokes according to Rabbi Yosef. If it's lifnei yush, you're going to go to the. You're going to go to the. If it's lifnei yush, you're going to go to the. You're going to go to the sheni, and if it's lacha yush, you're going to go to the kanef. Says the Gemara. Amalei Abaya, v'lei pligi. You're telling me if it's speaking lifnei yush, they're not arguing that everyone says what lifnei yush, you're going to go what to the. You're going to go to the rishon, to the sheni. You're going to go. I keep on getting mixed up. Lifnei yush, so you didn't give a pope, so therefore you're going to go to the sheni. Matnas kahuna, kilifnei yush dami. Matnas kahuna is like lifnei yush. Now, what's matnas kahuna? Is the 24 matnas kahuna. Now, one of them is called the matanis. The matanis is the zeraya l'chayayim v'akeva. It's the right front foot. It's the jaw with the tongue, and it's the keva, the stomach that contains the rennet. We need the keva, guys. Okay, we need the keva. So what's the case over here? The person went ahead and he bought the b'nei me'ayin from the butcher. Included in the b'nei me'ayin is the keva. Now he's going to buy it and he's going to give the keva. Do you go ahead and if he sold it outright, just without weight, he sold it for a certain price without weighing it, then it's clear that he never sold him the keva. The person who buys it is going to give the keva to what? To the kayin, and whatever price they paid, he pays. Because he clearly, the moicha, the tabach, did not sell him that. It wasn't his to sell. It belonged to the kayin, and therefore it doesn't have to be. What happens if he weighs it, and now you're selling it by weight? So by weight, it's including the weight of the keva. If you're weighing it and you're selling the weight, so now that's the case. In the discussion. Amalei machali me'echa shel para. And in that is the keva. Nice in the kayin, ve'enim menakim en adamim. You give to the kayin, and there's no deduction because you never sold it to him. However, lachi men of a mishkal, if you bought it by weight, very nice in the kayin, then nice in the kayin, you give it to the kayin, umenakim en adamim, and then you go ahead and you deduct. Rav says it's din lo yishanu ela sheshako la'atzmai. If he weighed it, if the person who bought it weighed it, then he has to go ahead and pay and give it to the kayin. Avol shakaloi tavach. If the tavach weighed it, now the tavach is now the goslin. Why? Because he's selling something that it wasn't his to sell. Once he's weighing, fellas, the keva, so it's like he's counting it in as part of the price he's receiving. So he's, in essence, he's a goslin. And now the kohen wants his keva. Who does the kohen go to? Does the kohen go to loikeach, the guy who bought it, or he goes to the tavach? Is what is the goslin? Now let's go through it outside. If it's lefnei yush, before yush, he should be going to the loikeach, correct? If it's before yush, then you had shini rishus, but you didn't have yush, so clearly it belongs to the kohen. Kohen is the nigzal over here. So the kohen should be able to go where? To who? To the one who bought it. So if the din would be that the kohen would go to the tavach who weighed it, you'd see even lifnei yush, right? Hadinim arishain. Rabbi Yosef said the following, that there was no machloikis between Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. When Rav said you go to the Rishon, it's speaking la'acha yush, and lifnei yush, you go to the sheni. We're being a case where it's lifnei yush, because the kahanim, there's so many kahanim, they're not giving up on the matanos, so clearly it's lifnei yush, and therefore the din should be, you should go to the sheni. Yet he's going back to the tavach, to the goslin. So you see that what? Even if they yush, Rav would hold hadinim arishan. That's the kasha. Alum the shakasha from what? From matnas kahuna. Says the Gemara, Vama Rav, lo yishanu, right? That Yemenakav the dam melish shakal atzmai. If he waited, the lekeach waited. Avol shakal yatovach. Now that he is the goslin because he waited, he's selling it. Hadinim atovach. The din with the kohen is with the tavach. right? Fred the Gemara, how could it be with the, how could you Rav say, Lifnei Yush Ravik says, the din is what? Is with the Sheni. Here you see the din is with the Rishon. Ema aftin min hatavach. When Rav said, when the Bryce Mishnah says that what the din is what is with the Tavach, it doesn't preclude that the din is not with the Sheni, but he can even go to the Tavach like Rav Chisda. Ratzim izeh, Ratzim izeh. So he's not saying Dafka with the Rishon, Dafka with the Rishon. No, it could even be with the Rishon. But in Achinami, Lefnei Ayish, it's usually with the Sheni. So Tema, I might think, Ein Matanis Gehunan Exelois, I might think that there's no din of Gezela, and therefore what? The din is with the Sheni, because he really didn't steal it. In other words, it's not his to sell. I could say that what? Manas Kahuna. There's no din of Gezela. And therefore you don't go back to the Goslin. Kamash Malon, you can go back to Af, you can even go back to the Goslin. You can even go back to the Goslin. That's now. Ula Baya Dama Pligi b'may Pligi. Loida Baya, who asked the Kasha, obviously held there was that Lefnei Yush, the din is with the Rishon. What was the machloikas then? In other words, Rabbi Yosef says there's no machloikas. Abaye says there is a machloikas. I feel Lifnei Yush says Rav, you go back to the Rishon. Even Lifnei Yush. What's the machloikas? Says the Rav Chisda. Machloikas if you hold like Rav Chisda. Ratzim izeh goiva, Ratzim izeh goiva. According to Rad, according to Rav, he holds like Rav Chisda. According to Rabbi Yochanan, he does not hold the Rav Chisda. According to I said that Rav doesn't hold the Rav Chisda, right? Let's just see Rashi. Let me see. I'm telling you right pshat. Hadin matavach dinu shel koyin v'iru al tavachu v'Rav l'tamei damar hadin rishon the tavach kiganaf rishon v'lekeach havi sheni v'kamar hadin matavach alma Rav lesle Rav Chisda. Rav does not hold the Rav Chisda. Okay, so now very gishmaya. That's the right pshat. So according to Abaya, he doesn't hold the Rav Chisda, and therefore you can go back to the Rishon. And according to Abaya, the halacha is that you would go to the Sheni. You go to the Sheni because he holds the Rav Chisda, but you can even go to the Rishon. Rav Zvido Amar Kegoin. Rav Zvido says Kegoin. Shenis Yaishu Abaylim Biad Lekeach. The Baal there was Yush, however the Shina Rishus took place. The Yush took place after the Shina Rishus. It didn't take place after what? After he stole it. It took place after he sold it. Kegoin Shenis Yaishu Abaylim Biad Lekeach. Shenis Yaishu Biad Ganif. Ubaha Pligi. Masav, Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion, Yush v'achach Shina Rishus Kaina. Yush v'Shina Rishus is Kaina, and therefore what? The din is what? With the Sheni. And Shina Rishus v'achach Yush loy Kaina, but Shina Rishus, and afterwards Yush you're not Kaina, and therefore the din is with the Sheni. Well, Masava, Loishna, there's no difference, and therefore the din is what? With the Rishon. Therefore the din is with the Rishon, you have Yush Shina Rishus, therefore the Sheni gets it, and you go back to the Rishon. Okay. So far, let's see what we got. Okay, here we have Machlokes. Case is Gonaf Umacha V'Akach Chuka Aganif. You stole it, you sold it. After you recognize the Ganif, what's the din? So Rab said the din is with the Rishon, and Rabbi Yochanan said the din is with the Sheni. So according to Rabbi Yosef, there's no machlokes. The din balabayis vakim a Rishon aganif, din balabayis and Sheni halakeach, right? But they're really this. They're speaking in two different scenarios. He's speaking la'acha yish. He's speaking before yish, but they really don't argue. This is the first sheet. They're really not arguing. Rav said, speaking after Yush, so if it's after Yush and Shina Rishus, of course Lokeach keeps it. You have to go back to the Rishon. According, however, to Rabbi Yochanan, it's speaking Lefnei Yush. Since it's Lefnei Yush, right? It doesn't belong to the Lokeach, and therefore you go to Lokeach. Abaya says no. Abaya says no. Abaya says that the din of the Balabayas is only with the Rishon. And the machloikis is after Yush, everyone would say the din is with the Rishon. After Yush, everyone that says the din with the Rishon. And the machloikis is what? Lifnei Yush. The machloikis is if the Yush, and whether the halacha is what? Is like what? Is like Rabbi. Is the halacha like what? like Rav Chisda. Rav does not hold the Rav Chisda. Therefore, the din is with the Rishon, right? Therefore, the din is the Rishon, right? And Rabbi Yochanan says it does hold. Therefore, the Balabayas, in other words, he can go to either one. He can go to Lekeach or he can go to. So Rabbi Yochanan would hold of Rav Chisda, and he wouldn't. Rav Zvid says, right? Rav Zvid said is now the case where the shinui takes place after Yush, whether it's kohen or not. So after Yush, he's miyayish. Rav says the din of balabayis is with the rishon. The din of balabayis is with the rishon. So even so, because he holds what of he doesn't hold the Rav Chisda, and Rabbi Yochanan says the din of balabayis gam alokeach. So after Yush is not a problem. Over here, the din balabayis gam masheni alokeach, and it's speaking with shina rishus. Here you have shina rishus. You have to, before Yush, shina takes place before Yush. Says Rabbi Yochanan that what the din of balabayis is gam masheni is alokeach. Why? Because he won't be koina, according to this, right? According to this, let's see. Right. Masav, Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion Yush v'achach shina rishus koina, that Yush for shina rishus is koina. That makes sense. Shina rishus v'achach Yush loy koina. Shina rishus v'achach you would not be koina, right? So shina rishus v'achach Yush is not koina, and therefore the din is what? Is with either one. Why? Because if you hold Rav Chisda, it doesn't make a difference. He's not koina. Masha Enkein, if Shina Rishus takes place beforehand, the din of Balabayas Gam Masheni. I see this is where I'm getting lost. I see the words, but it's not making sense to me. I'm sorry. So again, everyone would hold the Rav Chisda. If what? Where you're not miyayish. The din is with the sheni if he wants. And over here it's speaking where there was yush. But when did the yush take place? Did it take place in the hands of the lekeach or not? So if the yush took place in the hands of the lekeach, if it's a good yush, then he can only go back to the first one. If it's not a good yush, he can even go to the second one. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan says that what you can go to the second one, but hold it's not not a good yush. Whereas Rav says you only go back to the first, but hold it's a good yush. That's the pshat. Okay. Rav Papa Amar, we have one more shita. Rav Papa Amar Beglima, if you steal an object, a shirt, the Kulyam like pligi, the Hadal Amar, you have to return it. V'hacha ba'asa by takonas hashuk kamiflagi. The machlokes is whether they made takonas hashuk or not. The machlokes is whether they made takonas hashuk or not. Right. According to Rav, the din lekeach is rak im rishain, because what? Because there was no takonas hashuk. Rabbi Yochanan says even with the sheni, right? The lekeach on a bailim is what? Because there's takonas hashuk. Let's see Rashi, please, in the Gemara. Let's see Rashi. But Papa Amar, Loilam b'lifnei yush pligi. They're arguing lifnei yush. Okay. The Shavayu Islu Rav Chisda. They both hold with Chisda. Ubeglima de Geneva Kuliyam le pligi de Hadin Lamare. Miyad bechinam. Ve'en lekech yachal la'akval ma'oisav. If you have to return the object with Rav Chisda, V'adinim Arishain Dama Rav, and Rav's din that he said is with the Rishain is loy b'din habala bayis kamar. It's not with the din of the bala bayis. El b'din shalakech kamar. The din of lekech is with the Rishain because of whether there's takanas hashuk or not. So Rabbi Yochanan would hold they did the takana, and therefore what? He has to go for money. So the din is with the sheni. The din is with the sheni because they made the takana, and Rab does not hold of it, and therefore the din is with the rishon. You can't take for the sheni. Okay, I apologize. I really don't know what I'm talking about. So don't feel bad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's fine. Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yana Yoma Hadinim Hasheni. Dina Leikeach the Lishkom Mibal Habayis. The also about the conversation. Here's the Gemara first, guys. Okay, here's the final din. Didn't Mishmei the Rav Chia Amai. Hadinim Arishoin Dina Leikeach the Lishkom Zuzim Meganif. The din is that he can take the money from the ganif because he doesn't hold it at the konas hashuk because the other guy's getting it for free. Well, he also put the konas hashuk. Again, if you don't make the konas hashuk, you have to go to the ganif. That's what it means. Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yana Yoma Hadinim Hasheni. The din is with the sheni. Didn't leicher to lishkom mibala bias. He also put the konas hashuk. And so going back to the top. It maganavu machar v'achkach hooker aganif. Rab Mishmei Rav Chia Amar dinim arishoin. Because since they didn't make a tekonis hashuk, right? Since they make a tekonis hashuk, so he takes the nigzal takes his from the lekeach, takes what his object. The lekeach now goes back to the rishon. He goes back to the ganif because there's no tekonis hashuk over here. Rabbi Yochanan Mishmei the Rav Yanai Omar Hadinim Hasheni that the nigzal has to give the sheni money because he holds it the konas hashuk. That would be the pshat. Okay, back in the Gemara. Rav Huna Talmida the Rav Have. Rav Huna was the Talmud of Rav. The Chanan Bisha gonav glima, and Chanav Bisha stole a shirt, some type of tunic, and the Rav does not hold it the konas hashuk, guys, because he says you have to go back to the rishon. The Zavna and he sold it. Asla kamei the Rav Huna Amalei Alu Gavra. Zil Sharei Avitach. Go redeem your mashkin. In other words, you have to pay to get it back. You'd have to pay to get it back. You want it, you have to pay to get it back. Now, that's obviously the Tkonas Hashuk. But if Rav Hun is a Talmud of Rav, why is he paying? It says the Gemara, Shani Chana Bishra, Kivin the Lekel Ashlumimine. Right? You shouldn't have bought it from this guy. This guy, he has no money, right? So therefore he has no money. It's like you own hooker aganif dummy. When the hooker aganif is, that's when you say tekonis hashuk. So if you don't say tekonis hashuk when you're not makir aganif. Amar Rava says, right? No, excuse me. You say tekonis hashuk when it's not recognizable to ganif. When it's recognizable to ganif, you don't say tekonis hashuk. And this is where it's not recognizable to ganif. Therefore, you have to pay for it. Amar Rava im ganif mifursim hu. If you do it to ganif. You shouldn't have bought from him. This guy's a mafioso guy. You shouldn't have bought from him in the first place. After all, he's a ganef. So you buy from him, you can expect it can be taken away from you. Chanan Bisha was the Chayrim Mefursam Ganef, and nonetheless they did that kind of shuk that you had to be reimbursed. The one who bought has to reimburse it. The one who bought it. Good. He was known about that he's a bad guy, but not necessarily that he was a ganef. Okay, so when's the kind of shuk, guys? Let's just go over it. Because the shuk is where a guy buys it, and the owner shows up and says it's mine, it was stolen. So the owner's going to have to pay him. The owner's going to have to pay him to take it back, or else. Okay, let's say a person stole something. And now he goes ahead and he owed a person money and he gives him the object. The nigzal shows up and he wants it back. So the lekeach did not pay anything for it. It's being used to pay off a chayv. Would there be a tekonas hashuk over there or not? He didn't pay any money for this object. This object is being used to pay a previous chayv that was there. So there's no tekonas hashuk. Because what are you going to tell the guy? The whole purpose of Tkonas Hashuk is to stop commerce from taking place. There was an existing halva over here. You didn't buy it. You went ahead. It's being given to you as a payment. But there's no svara to say Tkonas Hashuk over here. Tkonas Hashuk is I will scared to buy something. Why? Because maybe it's stolen. Over here, I'm accepting it as a payment for a previous chayv. That has nothing to do with stopping commerce or stopping halva. But I should never lend a person money. Maybe the person's going to pay me back with stolen object. That's not a takana, guys. So says the Gemara. Itmar, gonavu para b'chayvai. If you steal and you pay off your chayv with it, or gonna for poira behakifa, you had a credit line, you used it to pay the credit line. Lo yasa by takanas hashuk. There they didn't make it takanas hashuk. There's no svar to make it takanas hashuk. The Amri lo yada toy dahanu yovle midi. I didn't give him anything on das that I'd accept a stolen object. It doesn't work like that. However, mashkanta, a stolen mashkin, shoving masin b'meya. You see, you have over here. What am I doing over here? Okay, so now you have mashkanta. He borrows money from someone and he leaves him a chayfetz as security. Now that chayfetz that he left was stolen. You want a secure loan, you want collateral, he leaves him something. Is that something, would there be a takonis ashuk when the person shows up to reclaim the mashkin? Would there be a takonis ashuk over there? That's the shaila. So now, shavin masin, if it was worth 200, b'meya, the halva was 100, and he gave him an object that's worth 200. Over there, asaboy takonis ashuk. There we'd make a takonis ashuk for the milva, because he really, the whole loan was given because he stood to collect the mashkin. Again, when it's worth more than the loan, a person says to himself, obviously, I'm doing the loan in order to, because this mashkin becomes viable. After all, it's worth more than the loan. So it's very wichtig for me to lend the money based upon this. And therefore, the loan took place because of this mashkin. And therefore what? Therefore it would be what? The kanas hashuk. Aval shava b'shava. If it was a $100 loan with $100 mashkin, the person there doesn't look as the mashkin something that's collectible, right? It's not the derech to give shava b'shava. And therefore the halva had nothing to do with the mashkin. Therefore what? Therefore what? What's the din? The din is that what? That you wouldn't make takanas hashuk in that case. Where the mashkin is worth more, you would say takanas hashuk. Where the mashkin is worth less, not. Let's see Rashi for a second. Mashkin shava b'shava ain't derech lasis king lahalvas al mashkin kol shiva. It's not the derech to go ahead and give a loan on the full worth of a mashkin. Hilkach lava daitu dahai mashkin oisva. He didn't lend him the money on das to collect from this mashkin. He believed him. In other words, if the mashkin guys is worth 100 and 100, it's like a regular halva outright. A regular halva outright, we said clearly, he's not going to stop the halva in order what maybe the guy's going to pay him with stolen stuff. So the reason why he lent him the money because he believed him. He lent him the mashkin. He gave him mashkin. Okay, the mashkin is not mailu moirid. It's not. When is the mailu moirid? The whole reason I lent you the money is because of the mashkin, because it's worth more. In that case, we would make the takanas hashuk, because now he's giving him something. He's giving him that mashkin. That's the difference between the 200 and the 100. Mazucha Amar se also by takanas hashuk. Even when in the case of 100, you make a takanas hashuk. Svina,
please.
Hesh, I don't know, Hesh. You can ask me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
Okay.
You can ask me.
All right, no problem. I just didn't know Shina Mishuk on a mashkin. I don't know. I don't follow that. Is there Shina Mishuk with a mashkin?
Questions like this. Is the mashkin, why did I lend you money? Because of the mashkin, or I lent you money because I believe you? So when you give 100, it comes up to ne'emonis. It's not really dependent upon the mashkin, because you don't really think you're going to collect it. It's after all, it's only worth your loan. Masha'en came when it's $200, it's worth more. Then really the whole reason you lent it because of you incentivized to give the loan because of the mashkin. It's worth more. There's more of an incentive over there. Where there's more of incentive, and I lent you on the mashkin, will make the takanas hashava. Masha'en came if it had nothing really to do with the mashkin. I was going to lend you the money anyway. But the mashkin, you gave me a mashkin, 100, therefore what it's considered a halva, irrelevant of the mashkin. That seems to be the pshat.
Okay.
I don't know if
Thank you. Okay.
Zvina, when a person goes ahead, what? And he goes ahead and he sells the chayfetz. Shava b'shava. So Zvina, the ganef, he sells the chayfetz, shava b'shava, asabay takanas hashavim, ashuk. Then you're going to go ahead right and then takanas hashuk. Okay, let's say he sells shava mana, something that's worth 100, b'masayin, right? The person pays 200 for it. It's 100 and the person overpays. So if Sheshu Sama, liyasabay takanas hashuk, right? And they didn't make the kanas hashuk, and the guy who was stolen from doesn't even have to give the 100. They didn't make and he doesn't have to give the buyer anything. Ravina ama asabay to kanas hashuk, and he has to give the 100. V'hilchasa b'kula, and the halacha in all these cases is asabay to kanas hashuk, levar miganef upara b'chayvay or ganef upara b'hakefay. Every case above we mentioned, whether the mashkin lays, this will help you, Heshi. Whether it's a mashkin 100, you do say tekanas hashuk. Mashkin 200, tekanas hashuk. If the sale was 100, you say tekanas hashuk. Sale 100. The only time you don't say it is where you didn't give anything. We're using it to pay off a credit line or pay off a chayiv. Because that, again, there's no svar to say tekanas hashuk, because it's not going to stop the commerce from taking place in the first place, because the loan was existing in the first place. Okay. The Gemara brings a few cases. Avimi bar Nazi, Chamud Ravina. If you have a good trivia question, who was Ravina's father-in-law? It was a person named Avimi bar Nazi. Having Masik Bahu Gavra, he was owed what? He was owed 400 arbazuz. He was owed 400 zuz. So Gonav, Galima, the loiva who owed him the money stole his shirt. V'yasa ne'alei, and he gave him the shirt to pay for the loan. V'oisvei abazuzi achrina, and he said, you know, on this shirt, he got another loan for another 4 zuz. So he had an existing loan, gave him a shirt, and then he gave him another loan. So what's the din? And they recognize the ganef in the end. And they recognize the ganef now comes to Avimi Barnozi and he's collecting his object. Now, does he have to pay him? Asta Kamei de Ravina. I don't know how Ravina could go ahead and judge this case. There was a karev. Anyway, he came in front of Ravina, and Amar, Ravina said to Avimi Barnozi, Kamoi, the first halva that you were owed, and the ganef paid you, right? The guy paid you, b'chayvay, loy boy lemesav lov loy midi. You don't have to give him anything. Why? There's no takanas hashuk. Why did we just say when it comes to a halva, there's no takanas hashuk? And the first repayment using the 4 is a payment of a halva. So there's no payment. What about the latter 4? Right? And hanach arba zuze achrina that you gave him, shakal zuzach v'hada glime. Okay. Take the money from the nigzal, right, and give it back to him. So on the first one, there's no takanas hashuk. On the latter one, there is. So Maskal Rav Kayin, the person Rav Kayin asked, the Dilma Glima Bahani Zusi Kama Yov Nele. Maybe Taka paid off the first one with the 4 zuz, and as we said, there's no takanas hashuk on that because the loan took place before. Why did he give him another loan? Because maybe not because of the 4 zuz that he gave him, but because of an emanis, right? Ganav para b'chayva, ganav upara b'kefay. So therefore, you're not going to have to kind of shuk on the first one. What about the latter 4? That the guy comes and takes the shirt. Himna, you believed him, but not because of the 4 zuz. Just like you believed him initially. In other words, fellas, you gave him money initially without any mashkin. You gave him money a second time. Your assumption is giving him money on the second time is only because of the 4 zuz, and therefore there should be a din of what of takanas hashuk on the latter half. Says that was Ravina's pshat. Rav Kohen says 1 second, no. The first one clearly is a loan, and therefore there's no takanas hashuk. And even the latter one, maybe it wasn't the 4. Maybe you believe the guy like you believe him the first time, and therefore you have to return it outright. That was the shaila. Is there a din of takanas hashuk on the latter four or not? Ravina says there is. Rav Kain is saying, no, how do you know? Maybe not. You lent it the first time without any money being exchanged. Also here. Says the Gemara, Igolgol Milsa Matil Kamei Ravo, it came from the Ravo and Hilchas Rav Kain. And he passed like Rav Kain that what? That he doesn't have to, Ganav can take, the Nignav can take it back without giving Rav Avini Varnazi anything. Near Narsha, there was a person from the town of Narsha, Gonav Sifra La Pampunoi. So he went ahead and he stole Svarim, a sefer, right? And he went ahead and he sold it Zavno La Pampunoi. So Narsha stole the sefer. He sold it to Papunoi, Betim Zuzi for 80 zuz. Ozil Papunoi, and Savnei lebar mechuzoi, and he sold it for what to bar mechuzoi, b'mei of zuz. So there was a sefer that was stolen. It was sold for 80 and sold the second time for 120. Good. L'soy fuker aganif, the ganif who was stolen from, that Nashah stole it from, comes and is taking it from bar mechuzoi. How much does he have to pay him? That's the question. Okay, now he's coming to collect his Geneva. How much does he have to pay? Now, does he have to pay him 120? That's what he paid for, right? Now, it was only worth 80. Omar Abaya, Lezel Mori de Safra, the one that Nigzal, the Yovle Levar Mechuza, Tame Sari. In other words, not 120, but 80. 120 and 80. And the Shakal Bal by a Sivra, the Elzabar Mechuzoy is now at 40. The Shakal Aboy mi Papunoi, and he'll get his 40 from Papunoi. Maskala Rava, Hashalai Keach Miganif. Asaboy Takana Sashuk, where a Lakeach, the Nigzal, he made a Takana Sashuk, that he pays him Lakeach, mi boy. So why is the other guy out 40? He only got 80. Why is he at 40? He should get his full 120. El Amar Rava, Leisel Mori the Safra v'Yovle Labar Mechuzoi Me'ev Esrim. Einachinami, the owner should have to give 120 to the Machuzoi. V'Shokal Bala Sefer, he'll take it. V'Leisel Mori the Safra v'Lishkal Aboy mit Papanoi, he'll get the 40 from Papanoi. V'Tamim Mishai, he'll go get the 80 watt from the original Goslin. That's what you'll do. Okay, that's the very hard Gemara. Okay. I feel, again, I said the words, we have an idea what's going on over here, but I don't really feel, comfortable in the guts of the Gemara, so I'm being honest. Says the Mishnah. Zeba b'chavisa, this going comes with his chavia shel yayin, zeba b'kadeh shel devash. So in other words, each person is carrying, we had this case before, each person is carrying a barrel, carrying a barrel. Ari, start concentrating, stop looking at the kids and learn Torah, okay? Anyway, there's no escaping the Zoom. Anyway, it's like, the Zoom, you can't hide in the back of the room, right? You're all in the front of the room, right? There's no hiding. The only thing you can do is stop the video, and then you. So I don't know what Yehuda's doing, or Pixel 7, and Kenny Miller's in Israel, I understand. Anyway, Pixel 7, it's Avrami. And then we know what Avrami is doing. He's eating. I would say eating free food, right? You didn't pay for the food. You should know the food also. So, eating. So you have a guy carrying a barrel of wine. The other one's carrying a barrel of devash. The barrel of devash cracks. Devash is more expensive than wine. He throws out his wine and he says, "Here's my barrel," and he puts the devash in. Does he have to pay him for the devash? Does the owner of does it have to pay for the wine? Does the owner of the vash have to pay him for his wine? So it says the Mishnah, he only has to pay him for the barrel and for his work. Says the Gemara. This is a chavia shel devash. Nishpach zeh esiyena. If I hit the devash, the slight right. Ainly elischar. He only has what? He only pays his schar. Means he pays. Rashi says schar kli with schar puli. He pays him for his broken barrel of that the schar, not the broken barrel, for the barrel of wine that he is using that's empty, and for his work. But he doesn't pay him what for the wine that he spilled out. Then Omar, if he says, I'll save your dvash, and you'll pay me for my wine, then chayiv litim. He's chayiv to give it to him. Shotaf nachal chamoiroi v'chamar chaveiro. You have a river is washing away his donkey and his friend's donkey. And shalo yafam mana v'shal chaver masayim. His is an inferior donkey. It's only worth 100 mana, where his friend's is worth 200. He lets his go, and he saves his chaver. He only has the work that he did. Here, you don't even have the work of any barrel. I'll lose mine. Like in the first case, I lost my wine. Here, I'm going to lose my chamor, and I'm going to get your chamor. And then he has to pay him. Then he has to pay him the $100, 100 mana that he lost on the. Now, where's the following shaila? If this wine, right? If this devash is going to waste, right? L'chayre, it's hefker, right? L'chayre, it's hefker. Says Rashi, "V'lei malei may have keres achina, devash shalcha, haya haylech kulei liibud." It was going to totally go to loss. Varini kim matzel min hefker, and it's like I saved it from hefker. But my ein loy elas scharoi. Why does he only have his schar? Kulei devash lishkol. V'gabe chamor lekal amein mahachi. Diachal lahatzilahu, because he's able to save it. So we have a big kasha over here. Forget about paying me for my wine. L'chayra, the devash is mine and not yours anymore. As soon as your barrel broke and this devash is flowing out, right? I assume it's gushing out. It's lost. So I should, when I took my barrel of wine and saved it, I should be saving something now that belongs to me. So it's the other extreme now. Initially, he said, you only get the schar of your barrel and of your work, but you don't even get your wine. He says, well, forget his wine. Forget about his wine. Better than that, he should be zoicha in the devash, because it's hefker. V'mai le'malei mefker kosachina. Miloi Tanya, did we not learn the following? Irishahoya toyin kade yayin v'kade shemen. A person was what? He was carrying kade yayin v'kade shemen. Rosh mishtabos. And he's seeing they both belong to him, and they're breaking. So the following, they're going to be lost anyway. Let me be mafish truma from this, on this, and maisa on this, right? V'im omar lo yama klum, right? And if he says something, he didn't say anything. Why? Because it's no longer his. It's considered hefker. So we've just proven from here that the vash that was going out of the barrel was hefker. So why doesn't he get the vash? We see over here, he can't use this to go ahead and be, it's belonged to him. As soon as it broke, it doesn't belong to him. It's hefker. You can't be mafish, trumas, and maisa from hefker. So Mamela, this devash should be his. On that, the Gemara answers, as Rabbi Yomi is going to say in a second, you have the netting of the olive press wrapped around the barrel, and therefore the devash is going out piecemeal, drip by drip. It's not coming all at once. If it goes out drip by drip, then it's not hefker. So he said that later on. Hachanami here as well. So guys, if this barrel broke totally and it's shooting out the devash, and you would save it, you would be zoich in it. Here it's speaking about it's not hefker because it's coming out piecemeal, since it's impeded by coming out, being surrounded by netting. Now, why did we say in the case of truma that it's hefker? You didn't say anything, right? Lo yama klum. Says the more of lo yama klum. Just because something is going to be lost, do we say it doesn't count? Right? You can't take the barrel's breaking, the wine is leaving. You can't take it off the payers, other places. Why not? But Tanya. Mishaba b'derech, who must be yadai. The guy's coming on the way and he has money. Vanas connected, and he sees a money guy come, a guy who's prone to take money away from you, right? And he's coming opposite him. I'm going to lose this money anyway. So let me go ahead and do something with it. So I'll be mechalo ma'aser sheni on it, guys. I'll be mechalo ma'aser sheni on it. So the im omar v'im omar dvar chayomim. So guys, let's go to the parallel. I'm carrying barrels. The wine breaks. I can't use it to be mafresh trumas and ma'aser. I'm carrying money. The money is going to be lost. I could be mechalo ma'aser sheni on it. In both cases, they're going to be lost. Yet you're telling me by the Paris it's hefker, and you're telling me over here that it's still viable because you're being mechalo ma'aser. How can you do that? It's speaking the money is not going to be lost, not for sure. You can go ahead and ding sich with this anus. It's not an armed robber, guys. It's an anus. It says if you're able to go ahead and save it, so why can you only do it b'di'evet? Why not lechatchila? Says the Gemara. It's not a vada. You'll save it. You could save it. So in other words, by the Paris falling, the barrel is vade lost. Over here, it's not. Maybe it might be lost. So lechatchila, you can't do it. But again, but b'di'evet, if you do it, it's okay. Says the Gemara, you have a small loss. Meaning that you could save it all day at chak is considered a small possibility of a loss. That so we say over here by the anas lechatchila you can't go ahead and be mechal mois ma'asheni. But Tanya, you have 10 barrels of ma'aser rishon that's tamei. Guys, what can you use ma'aser rishon that's tamei for? You can use it to sprinkle for aroma in your house. That's what you could use it for. You could use it to sprinkle aroma in your house. And he sees one that it's going to go ahead and break. Or one of them was left overnight, where a snake would possibly come and drink from it and leave venom in the barrel. Oimer, he could say, he trumas meiser al tisha chavruseha, right? It should be what trumas meiser on the one should be trumas meiser on the other 9. So from every ma'aser rishon, the Levi has to separate trumas ma'aser. You can separate trumas ma'aser rishon tameya. You could go ahead and be mafresh. That's provided it's what it is. It is wine. Ushemen, however, if it's tamei dika shemen lo yasa kain, you shouldn't do that. Mifnei hefsid kayin, because you're being mafsid the kayin. Because the kayin he could go ahead. For all intents and purposes, this is very fine. Shemen, you could use it to wine. You could use it to not. You could use it to burn things. In other words, you could use it as a fuel. Truma tameya, ma'aser rishon tameya, trumas ma'aser tameya. You could use what as a fuel stuff. So therefore, don't do this. Rav Yemia. So it says Rav Yemia. So l'chayr you have a kasha. What's the kasha? You see that what? That even lichatchila you're able to go ahead and. In other words, by the anas coming to you, b'di'evet you're able to take the ma'aser sheni off on the coins. Over here, lechatchila on the trumah on the ma'aser rishon tameya, you're able to separate. I feel lechatchila. In both cases there's a loss. Says the Gemara. Over here, the loss is speaking where kishakal beis habad karchala. It's a very small loss. Now, bishlema nishbara chazis. Bishlema, if it breaks. Because it has a use. What's the use? You can use it to sprinkle. If it's gilui, what in the world could you use it for? In other words, it has no use whatsoever. So how am I able to separate this barrel that was niskalsa, right, on the other barrels? This one is totally useless. The barrel that is tamei, you could use it for aromatic smell. But the one that is niskala, the gili, you can't use it for anything. You might think you'll be able to use it what? For sprinkling, but Tanya, Mayim sheniskalu, harizelo yishafte, Mayim that was left out, you should not spill it out. In B'shus Harabim, a person who is barefoot might step on it and it get absorbed in his skin and it'll be of tzaris. Nor should you use it in bricks. In the house to go ahead and get the dust down. Same problem. They might drink it and then you'll eat the meat and get sick. So the bottom line is, why can you go ahead and separate one that was niskala on other ones? It's not used for anything. It says the Gemara, no, you could do something. You could take it and put it through a sieve. If you put it through a sieve, as we're going to see, the venom will go ahead and flow to the top, and you'll be able to use it. The Tanya, if something is, according to the Tanakama, even if it's something is misanenis, you still have the problem of gilui, and Amar Rab Nechemia emasai. So you have two kela, one on top of the other. If the bottom one is megula, that's when yesh ba mishum gilui. If the bottom kli was covered up, that a snake couldn't have gotten there. But the first one was left open where a snake could get to it. You don't have to worry about gilui. It goes ahead and it goes to the top. So since the kohen can use, right, he can use it. It's not such a large loss. Mashenka by the robber taking the money would be a big loss, and therefore the difference. That's why by the robber it's only b'di eved, and over here it's the chatchila. Now it says the Gemara, when did he say his din Reb Nechemia? Only if you didn't mix it. I will tarku asa. So what did you do over here? You went ahead, you strained you strained it, then you put it in a barrel and you mixed it up again. So you have the same problem. So the same kasha returns to its place. Even misanenes, you still have the problem of gilui. What could you use it for? Says the Gemara, Hasanami efshad demanach midi apuma dechavita, right? The shafilate. When you pour it out from the barrel, you put a filter on top of the barrel, and that would go ahead and go ahead and collect the venom, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay. The Rebbe Nechemia let you go take off tamei on tamei. Guys, what are you doing over here? You're taking truma. You're taking on 10 barrels of Meiser Rishon. You're taking Trumas Maisa, they're all Tamei, and you're taking one of them and making that Trumas Maisa. So you're being Mafresh Mituma al Tuma. So forget about the Gili problem, right? And forget about, and even the Zila problem, even if it's not the problem of Gili, it's a regular case of Tuma, where ostensibly you could use it for aromatic sprinkling, you still have the problem of separating Tamei and Tamei. Where do you see that? But Tanya Tormi min atami ala tamei, min ator ala tor, min ator ala tamei, avoloi min atami ala tor, and the Nechemia oima af min atami ala tamei loi, hitiru litroim elabish shel demai, only if it's demai. So how could you go ahead and do it over here? After Gemara, achenami bishel demai. We're speaking over here where it was demai. Since it was demai, therefore what you would be able to go ahead and separate it. Okay, wish everyone a great day.